That photo is the last thing that anybody will see of her alive. I started getting these texts. Have you seen this?
A police scanner had lit up.
They were talking about a girl who was found on Valley Road.
Her marks on the throat, the bruising, they were consistent with homicide.
Without a confession, the investigation could go on for months, even years. When the case broke, it broke big and fast.
When the story starts to change, that's a pretty good indicator that someone's lying.
Here's your key piece of evidence, and it's in a picture on Facebook.
I was in shock. Like, where did this plot twist come from?
March 2015, Saskatoon, Canada. A picturesque town straddling the Saskatchewan River. 18-year-old Brittany Gargle is a senior in high school with a bright future.
I met Brittany in 8th grade. We were in gym class and we had to be partners and we played dodgeball, and after that we found out that we lived 5 blocks away from each other and we would always hang out.
I just thought she was kind of bubbly and hyper and very friendly and outgoing person. And I like that about her.
Me and Brittany loved to do our hair, makeup. Every night she'd knock on my window and we would sit outside and talk, and she'd bring pizza and Slurpees. She treated me like a sister. If I didn't have money for anything, she would hand it to me. If she didn't have anything, I'd give it to her. She was just somebody to lean on.
Brittany also impresses her friends with an unusual level of responsibility for her age.
She was 17, she was working full-time, she was going to school full-time, and she had goals. She was definitely driven to get what she wanted. She wanted to build and own her own hotels. I knew right away that this girl was going to go places and do things.
Despite her sunny disposition, Brittany had a difficult childhood. Her mother struggles with addiction, and she grew up not knowing her father.
Brittany, growing up, she lived with her grandma. She was such a kind lady, made sure she always had what she needed. She definitely wanted a relationship with her mother, but she understood that there was circumstances that she couldn't change. Brittany, she was doing really good, had her job, and doing everything that she needed to do. She seemed really great and that she was doing great in life.
On March 24th, 2015, just months before graduation, Brittany makes plans to go out with 18-year-old Cheyenne Antoine, a good friend she's known since 9th grade.
Cheyenne, she just seemed like a quiet, nice girl when I did meet her. They would go for walks and hang out outside.
Brittany and Cheyenne had developed a close bond because they both had difficult childhoods.
Cheyenne had this history where her folks had died. She was raised in the foster care system and then suffered sexual abuse.
Early in the evening, Brittany and Cheyenne stopped by Atasha's house.
And I just lent Brittany some gas money because she needed to get around. And then I told her to be careful, you know, if you need me, call me and I'll come pick you up or whatever. And she gave me a hug and that was it. That was my last interaction with her.
Just after midnight, Brittany posts a selfie on social media with Cheyenne.
They're at her grandma's house getting ready and dressed up for their evening out. Brittany was just You know, I think she was just happy to get out and hang out with her friend. And Cheyenne looks like she's just ready to go party, and Brittany just looks so relaxed and just ready for whatever life is bringing her.
Six hours later, at 6:02 a.m. on March 25th, Saskatoon Police Radio Dispatch sends out an alert.
That particular morning, I was already out at the scene of a shooting, and the police scanner lit up. And when they switched to their emergency channel, and when they talk about a female injured and or in distress, you knew it was serious right away. At that point, I bailed out of the scene I was at and drove out to that area. I had to go see with my own eyes while it was still a fresh scene.
A motorist spotted a young woman lying on the side of the road in a remote area near the Saskatoon landfill.
Initially, on an outdoor crime scene like that, you need to protect the scene as best you can to preserve evidence as soon as you get there.
The victim appears to be in her late teens or early 20s, has no shoes on, and her body is cold to the touch.
By the time I'd gone out there, they were hidden already. I could only get to within about 100 meters of where the body was.
Paramedics try to resuscitate the unidentified victim and rush her to the hospital. But she's pronounced dead on arrival. Police immediately suspect foul play.
The signs that she was the victim of a homicide were pretty obvious. The marks on the throat, the bruising, and all the injuries that were consistent with homicide.
At the crime scene, investigators find several potential pieces of evidence: a leather jacket, a belt, and a woman's watch.
The fact that her body was found on the outskirts of town raised a lot of red flags for investigators. My first instincts were that it was like a sexual predator type murder.
There was no immediate suspect. There was no motive. There was nothing there. Because I've covered crimes like this in the past, I thought this was a body dump. If I've hurt somebody and want to dispose of their body, this is the first natural point where you would throw a body out of a vehicle, because you've just cleared the last neighborhood. Nobody's going to see you there. It seemed pretty clear to me, based on my experience, that this is not where the person had had the bad things done to them. So right away, you had a scene that was not the crime scene.
I think there's always that kind of concern about, is this an isolated incident? Is this random? The killer is on the loose. That's often where my mind goes when I start to get into an investigation and start to cover crime cases.
Hoping to identify the victim or get leads to the killer, investigators release photos of the items found at the scene. They also release pictures of the victim's distinctive tattoos.
I think I turned the TV on around 7:30, and I turned on the news. They were talking about a girl who was found on Valley Road, and I was like, wow, that's just right down the street from where I live. And they said that they're still trying to identify her.
I started getting these texts, have you seen this? And then I looked and I'm like, there was the jacket, the tattoo, the line, the 2 stars. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Brittany. My heart sunk.
I literally dropped on my couch and started crying because I was like, this is no way. She was just here not even like 9 hours ago. And then I ended up calling the police station, and I said, I know who it is. And they asked me to come down. I went down to the police station right away and did a statement, and I couldn't believe it still. Like, it was just unreal. Like, I almost couldn't fathom that it happened, but it happened, and I couldn't stop crying. Those images, the jacket, and the broken watch, I couldn't get those images out of my head because she was wearing those things when she left my house.
So they had the identification fairly quickly, but that's all they had.
Like, why? That was the last night of her life. That photo is the last thing that anybody will see of her alive.
Investigators key in on an unusual murder weapon.
That belt may well have made the marks on her throat that caused her death.
And focus on an unlikely suspect.
I was shocked because of who it was.
Regardless of how improbable or salacious a story, they have to take it apart.
And that's why a lot of us started thinking, maybe, this is going to be one of those unsolved mysteries.
Police in Saskatoon, Canada have learned that a murder victim found dumped on the side of the road is a local high school senior, Brittany Gargle.
This was a young woman who didn't fit the image of someone you would expect to find dead on the edge of town. She wasn't living on the street. She had stuff together. She had jobs. She had a family. She had all of those things.
When detectives learned from Brittany's family that she was active on social media, they delved into her accounts, looking for insights about her life and perhaps clues about what led to her death.
The police found the photo of Cheyenne and Brittany together, the selfie on the Facebook page. It was the last photo of Brittany Gargle.
They had a selfie posted of them on Facebook 6 hours before Brittany's death.
Detectives also discover a heartbreaking Facebook post by Cheyenne, made hours after Brittany's body was found.
She was posting on Brittany's Facebook wall, "Where are you? Haven't heard from you. Hope you made it home safe."
Police want to talk with Cheyenne to learn what she can tell them about Brittany's activities on the night before her body was discovered. They don't have to look far. Prompted by all the news stories about the murder, Cheyenne comes to them.
Cheyenne Antoine called police, and she told them what had happened the night before. And she basically said that she was with Brittany, it was a party night, they went to a few bars. So there's a timeline starting to be created leading up to when Brittany's body was found.
Cheyenne tells police that on March 24th, around midnight, she started partying at Manchester's pub. A couple hours later, Cheyenne says they went to a house party. And by 4 a.m., ended up at the Colonial Pub and Grill.
They apparently met a guy there. Brittany asked him for a lighter, invited him along.
Cheyenne describes him as a white male, about 30 years old, but she does.
After that, Cheyenne said that she got dropped off to visit her uncle and that she didn't ever see Brittany after that or had no idea where she went from there. And she actually gets her uncle on the phone to corroborate this story, and he, gives the same information.
As investigators begin trying to identify the mystery man Cheyenne says she last saw Brittany with, on March 26th, the day after Brittany was found by the side of the road, the results of her autopsy come in.
It was clear that Brittany had not been sexually assaulted. She died of suffocation by ligature, basically strangled to death. From the patterns on her neck. It wasn't a rope or a shoelace, but it was something else that left unusual marks.
One of the items of clothing that was found alongside Brittany's body was a belt. And the belt, a very interesting part of the case, because they believe that the belt was the murder weapon.
That belt may well have made the marks on her throat of the ligature that caused her death.
Brittany's family doesn't recognize the belt as belonging to her. Detectives send all of the items found near Brittany's body to the crime lab for DNA testing. When the results of the DNA tests come in, they show traces of Brittany's DNA on the belt, along with one other unidentified individual. One week after her, family and friends attend her funeral. Despite the injuries she suffered, her family wants an open casket.
Walking in there was hard. Seeing all her high school friends. And we got to go up and say goodbye. And it was really hard because she didn't even look like Brittany. Her face it was different. It was so swollen from the damage that you literally could not recognize her. It was really hard to say goodbye.
As Brittany's friends mourn, detectives continue to follow up on the information provided by Brittany's friend Cheyenne. They visit the bars she says the pair went to, hoping surveillance video of the man Cheyenne says she saw with Brittany.
Everything you do is on camera now. And it's such a big part of homicide investigations now.
The bars do have security systems. And the footage confirms that the girls pulled into the parking lot at the first bar, Manchester's Pub, at midnight, just as Cheyenne reported. Then, investigators move on to the final bar Cheyenne says they visited that night.
Cheyenne told the police that Brittany left in the early morning hours with a male individual from the Colonial Pub and Grill. The story was that she left with a male acquaintance. The police, of course, checked the surveillance videos from those two pubs.
But when police scour the video from the Colonial, it tells a very different story from the one they heard from Cheyenne.
They don't see any sign of Cheyenne and Brittany.
When Cheyenne said they were at the Colonial Pub and Grill and that Brittany left with another male, police knew that wasn't true when they watched the surveillance videos, and that simply did not happen. They were not there.
Police hunting for the killer of 18-year-old Brittany Gargle are reviewing hours of surveillance video from the last bar she is thought to have visited on the night of her murder. But they can find no images of either Brittany, her friend Cheyenne, or the man with whom Cheyenne says she left the bar.
Well, geez, they don't turn up on any other surveillance video. That really threw people.
Police are now very suspicious of this narrative they've been given.
And what they did is start going through Cheyenne's story and looking for inconsistencies.
That includes taking another look at Cheyenne's claim that Brittany and the man she met at the Colonial Pub gave her a ride and dropped her off to visit her uncle around 4 a.m. on March 25th. A story her uncle corroborated. So detectives obtained the security footage from the assisted living facility where Cheyenne's uncle lives.
They examined those surveillance videos, and that was not true either. So her story was starting to fall apart.
So then they go talk to her uncle.
And he cracks. And he basically says, yeah, my niece made me make it up because the real story she gave me was a lot more intense. And he's going, I don't know if this happened. This is just what she told me. Cheyenne had told her uncle they were out at the bar that night and that they essentially went back to a motel room with what she described as two black men. And she told her uncle that they got into some kind of argument over cocaine. Cheyenne goes to the bathroom. When she comes back out, Brittany's on a bed. She has marks on her neck. And she's apparently dead. And one of these guys holds a gun to her head and basically tells her, you have to help me get rid of her.
And then she went to her uncle's house.
Detectives are immediately skeptical of the story Cheyenne's uncle claims she told him.
I think what's problematic for the police is, regardless of how improbable or salacious a story Cheyenne Antoine is offering, they have to take it apart and dismiss it to their satisfaction.
You have to investigate it. You have no choice.
That's the definition of what a police investigation is. You have to be able to say, you know, actually, we did check this out. We looked at the video, and there were no black drug dealers at the Colonial or wherever the hell you were saying you were that night. It just doesn't add up.
Cheyenne's second story, two black fellows killed Brittany, was thoroughly investigated, and that clearly did not happen either. That didn't make a lot of sense. Neither of those stories panned out. There was no evidence to support any of them.
Cheyenne's inconsistencies and outright lies earn her another interrogation. On May 5th, 5 weeks after Brittany's murder, detectives interview her again. But this time, they meet at the Saskatoon jail. Because Cheyenne has recently been arrested for shoplifting.
She was not willing to share anything with the police. She wouldn't talk about that evening at all. That made it difficult. But with her various stories, and her various stories not checking out, it became obvious that she was a suspect.
I remember them saying, so they are looking into Cheyenne, and then my heart just dropped. How is that possible?
I was in shock. And I just looked at my partner, and my partner looked at me, and we both were like, she was in our home a couple times. Like, what happened? Where did this plot twist come from?
Despite her conflicting stories, investigators have no evidence connecting Cheyenne to Brittany's murder, and no obvious motive for her to have done it.
Even though you strongly suspect a person of the crime, you have to keep a clear mind and not get so laser focused on the person telling the falsehoods that you get basically tunnel vision and you miss a possible suspect.
Without any witnesses and no apparent motive, it was pretty clear this was going to be a tough case to crack.
Two months after Brittany Gargle's murder, police have identified her friend Cheyenne Antoine as a suspect. Based on the misinformation Cheyenne has told them about the last night of Brittany's life. But they have no evidence yet to support those suspicions.
Police are very tight-lipped about investigations here. We do nothing other than what they want us to know in the investigation stage of something, and their reason is always because it's under investigation.
Everybody was getting very upset. They couldn't understand, why is this taking so long? And that's why a lot of us started thinking, like, maybe, you know, this is going to be one of those unsolved mysteries.
Why? What happened? Like, why does nobody know what happened? Like, this could happen to anybody else. It just drove me crazy.
Then, Brittany's family receives a phone call from out of the blue. From someone who says they want to get something off their chest.
A relative of Cheyenne's, her auntie, admitted that the night that Brittany died, Cheyenne had driven up and was in a panicky state.
It sounds like it was such a chaotic night. Cheyenne was drunk, and obviously good decisions weren't being made all around.
Cheyenne was drunk, crying, upset, saying she had strangled her friend Brittany.
Brittany's family immediately reports the call to the police. And investigators quickly track down Cheyenne's aunt. She confirms the story and breaks open the case.
And that was one of the big leads that police had been missing.
The aunt's damning story convinces investigators that they finally found Brittany's killer. But there still isn't solid enough evidence for an arrest.
Anything the aunt said would have to be solidified by evidence.
With no physical proof that Cheyenne killed her friend, police are now hoping for a direct confession. But even when confronted with her aunt's story, Cheyenne continues to deny that she had anything to do with Brittany's death.
It was really frustrating. Without a confession from the suspect, an investigation could go on for months, even years.
The fact that Cheyenne wouldn't give a statement to the police made it difficult. She wouldn't talk about that evening at all, other than the lies that we know that she told the police.
Under Canadian law, detectives need stronger evidence than the aunt's story to obtain a warrant for Cheyenne's arrest, or even a DNA test.
On how long it took, it felt ridiculous. But I understand at the same time, these are not things you find out overnight, and it takes quite a long time.
On September 10th, 2015, 6 months after the murder, Cheyenne posts on social media about how much she loves and misses her friend.
It presents like somebody who's really genuine and worried about their friend.
She posted that long paragraph about, I hope whoever he is, he's found. I knew there was something more to it, just didn't seem right.
Cheyenne's Facebook comment pours salt in the wounds of Brittany's loved ones, and it also adds to law enforcement's suspicions of her.
It just must have been maddening for them, because they would know. We've got so much, but we don't have it all.
The case drops out of the headlines, and to those outside of the investigation, it appears to go cold.
I mean, nobody was talking. Everyone was kind of wondering what had happened with Brittany Gargoyle's death.
The Saskatoon police kept a pretty close eye on Cheyenne. They knew where she was, they knew what she was doing. The Police are very diligent investigating serious crime like this. They just don't stop.
As part of that effort, detectives decide to take a fresh look at all of the evidence they've collected. And they discover detail in their files that they now realize was previously overlooked.
And that's where the selfie picture comes into play. A very, very important picture.
When investigators re-examine their case file in the murder of Brittany Gargle, they realize a key piece of evidence may have been hiding in plain sight. The selfie that Brittany posted just hours before her death.
We had the photo of Cheyenne and Brittany together 6 hours before she died. And if you look closely, tucked in the bottom corner of that photo, Cheyenne's wearing the belt they found at the scene.
It's this thick black braided belt. It's quite distinct. I mean, you wouldn't have thought anything about it if you had just regularly looked at that photo. It's not sinister, just presents like two smiling friends.
I think that was like an aha moment.
When the case broke, it broke big and fast.
Here's your key piece of evidence, and it's in a picture on Facebook. Doesn't get much better than that when you're trying to prosecute somebody for murder.
It's like playing poker where you turn the cards and the whole deck flips. They went from having nothing to having everything.
The discovery gives the detectives the evidence they need to order new DNA tests on the belt.
It has both the girls' DNA on it. It substantiates the theory that the belt was the murder weapon, that essentially Cheyenne used that belt to strangle Brittany.
Now that they have the evidence they've been looking for, tying Cheyenne to Brittany's murder, detectives bring her in for one more interview.
You should always attempt to get a confession. It lets them tell what happened in their own words, even though you investigated and you have a clear picture of what happened.
But Cheyenne still will not confess. In fact, she still refuses to talk at all.
Cheyenne was just shutting down at that point. Maybe it was weighing on her.
Despite her continued silence, police finally have enough to arrest Cheyenne for second-degree murder.
It was shock and happiness because we finally had some answers. So I was happy about the answers, but I was shocked because of who it was. We honestly thought it was just she lost her friend. And we all felt bad for her. Now it makes me angry. Don't know how she slipped through the cracks for so long. It was just shocking.
After her arrest, Cheyenne tells detectives she is finally ready to talk.
She basically said it was a party night. They had gone at least to a house party that had been corroborated, and lots of drugs and alcohol were being used that night. By all accounts, both women were intoxicated. They went to a few bars. She says that her last memory is at 4:30 in the morning of being in a McDonald's, and that she remembers, she didn't really use the term getting into a fight with, but Brittany getting frustrated over something. She doesn't remember what happened after that, but she couldn't deny that she was the person that killed her friend. She said she woke up and knew that something bad had happened between her and Brittany. But she was just so unable to accept it. And so instead she chose to try to deny and mislead. And I guess maybe that's easier when you really don't remember what happened.
It really, really makes you second guess every person in your life. So now it's like, I go and look at my friends and I'm kind of scared. So I can't hang out with people alone due to the fact of what happened to her.
As Cheyenne's trial approaches, Canadian Crown prosecutors face a unique challenge.
One of the frustrating things about her not really admitting what she did, there was no motive. She didn't offer a reason as to why she killed her friend.
It's one of those cases where we really didn't get an answer as to why this happened. And that has a lot to do with drugs. The fact that Cheyenne was so intoxicated that night that she can't remember killing someone, like, I think speaks volumes to the unanswered questions of this case. What could have made Cheyenne so angry in that moment that that's where her anger went?
So all of a sudden, this notion of culpability is a little more unclear. There's no clear motive. And the Crown, by law, is obligated to go through a checklist of factors to take into account. Her family circumstances, education, addictions, poverty, all of that.
Sometimes you just don't know what the motive is, and no one will ever tell you. It doesn't make sense why a person kills another person or commits a horrible crime against another person. And sometimes there is no motive. You're just evil.
Two years after the murder of Brittany Gargle, her friend Cheyenne Antoine is charged with second-degree murder. Cheyenne claims that due to the drugs and alcohol she consumed, she has no memory of the night that Brittany died. As her trial approaches, prosecutors believe they can prove Cheyenne killed Brittany. But to maximize her sentence, they'll also have to prove she intended to murder her.
The fact that Cheyenne wouldn't admit what she did to the police made it difficult to prove criminal intent. Second-degree murder is a murder with full intent to kill. Manslaughter can have the reduced intent to kill. We accepted the plea of guilty to manslaughter on the basis that she was drunk at the time.
Cheyenne Antoine is sentenced to 7 years in prison. She is eligible for release in 2024.
Seven years actually is the ballpark for manslaughter in the sentence in Saskatchewan. And I've seen it as low as 2 years.
Still, Brittany's loved ones are devastated.
She was a wonderful person whose life was cut short, and it's not fair. It's just not fair.
We thought it was bullshit. She was given so many chances. What more do you need to see that this person is not going to learn?
People have gone to jail a lot longer for killing their dog or cat. It does not make sense. Why is she getting a slap on the wrist? She's still young enough to go out there and live a full life, still have a family, build everything and anything that Brittany will never have.
Brittany's friends are in disbelief that Cheyenne could forget strangling her.
I think she knows and remembers, but is playing it off as I was inebriated and I'm going to use that card. And I don't think that's fair either.
They also struggle with how long it took for police to connect the dots and make an arrest.
It felt ridiculous. We're not going to look at a picture and be like, oh, look, there's a murder weapon. But it was a little frustrating that the answer was right there.
The existence of the photo and why it took so long to really definitively connect that to Cheyenne, I still don't really quite know. But I think the numerous attempts to mislead police certainly did not make the investigation straightforward. They would have had to follow a lot of false leads, and that takes time and resources. And I mean, we don't have a huge police service here, so it's one of those things where I think they just had to eventually get the right things to crack, and that eventually happened.
The fact that it was a friend who took Brittany's life is especially difficult for her loved ones. But they are determined that her memory will live on.
I miss her bubbly, happy, positive personality. I miss her quite often because I see her every day. I don't tear up every day, but I still once in a while I do get a little bit emotional thinking about back in the day with her. What she could have been now. I just feel saddened that she's missed out on her life.
I got to hang out with Brittany 2 weeks prior to everything that happened to her. We got to sit in her car and catch up for a bit, talking about our lives and where we are and how we're so surprised how much we're growing up and about being the people that we are. When I'm walking by the river and going for walks, every day it reminds me of her. Brittany was a very loving person, and she did everything she could to make another person happy. I'm glad that my last memory of her was her smiling and hanging out and laughing.
He loved his hockey. It was their thing.
He was so present in his son's life. They did everything together.
He was meant to take care of kids and give them a second chance.
Ricardo Hebe is doing everything he can to be a positive influence in these kids' life. He's stabbed 3 times in the chest, and he's left for dead. Is there an old score to settle? Is this something from Ricardo's past?
We have this murderer out on the streets. Everybody was scared.
A lot of the details were just so gruesome.
The final moments of Ricardo Hebe's life must have been horrifically terrifying.
December 2018, Winnipeg, Canada. Ricardo Hebe has a lot to be grateful for this holiday season. He and his fiancée Candace are planning a big wedding in the new year, and he's found success in the real estate business. But growing up in Winnipeg's North End, this happy picture was far from guaranteed.
North End Winnipeg is a place that has substance abuse issues related to crime. It's a city that has some real struggles.
Ricardo's early years, he had a lot of tumultuous relationships in his life with family or guardians. He kind of had to navigate on his own. We went to the same high school. His energy was so enigmatic, like everybody wanted to be around him. We just met one night and the rest was history.
His parents separated when he was young. They both left Winnipeg. He stayed because he didn't want to leave. So he ended up staying with one of his friends. We talked about his childhood. It was very broken.
On Ricardo's 16th birthday, an act of kindness changes his life.
One of his friends, his mom took him in. She was a single mom raising her own kids, and she was a foster mom as well. She just took him in, supporting him. As long as he went to school, that was the deal. And he kept that deal with her and got good grades. He was actually an honor roll student. He calls her super mom.
After Ricardo graduates from high school in 2002, he is touched by another act of kindness that changes his life.
We met through a mutual friend of ours, Sean. I've been doing home renovations and construction for 15 years now. He's like, oh, would you mind if I worked with you? I'm not going to get paid. I just wouldn't mind, somebody teaching me how to do these things. I said, yeah, absolutely.
Over the next several years, Ricardo learns Richard's business and eventually becomes his partner.
He was successful in real estate. Like, he could have retired probably by the time he was 45 if he would have kept at it.
Then, in December 2010, when he's 26 years old, a mutual friend introduces him to Candace Walasha.
He was this mean-looking guy, but so friendly and nice. So his laugh and his smile right away. And then we just hit it off there. He said, you're mine. And I said, okay. He ended up signing his name on me that night. And I came home. My mom was like, what the hell is on you? And I was like, oh, God. I was like, I found my love. I'm like, he signed me. So we're stuck together now. I was like, I found my forever. And I did. I really did.
A year and a half later, Candace gives birth to a baby boy.
I can't even explain it. Just seeing his eyes holding Junior, that was his world. Everything was about him. He had to be with him 24/7.
On December 14th, 2014, 2 years after Junior is born, Ricardo asks Candace to marry him.
He was really excited to get married. That was kind of the last little bit to solidify their family as a unit.
But a chance encounter puts those plans on hold.
A couple of friends were doing group homework, and I think when he went there, he looked at these youth and he saw part of himself in these kids.
A group home is an environment where multiple people who are vulnerable live together. And it really hits home that these teenagers are just like him, who need stability, who need guidance.
Ricardo decides that the best way to repay the acts of kindness that turned his life around is to create his own group home for at-risk teens.
He just kind of followed his calling. He was meant to take care of kids and give them a second chance.
Transforming a property he owns into a group home takes several months and becomes Ricardo's sole focus. He even decides to postpone his wedding so he can fully concentrate on his newfound mission.
He signed up with an agency, which then certified him. He was approved, and 3 teenagers were placed in his care.
He gets to do what he loves, and he gets to keep kids off the street. And the kids loved him. He would take them to the gym. He was adamant on them going to school. He did everything with them. He wanted them to do better. They would laugh, like they would even call him the dad. They looked up to him. It was like home. We'd have supper there with the kids. Our kid was there all the time.
By the winter of 2018, 4 years after he proposed to Candace, Ricardo is ready to plan their long overdue wedding.
We planned his wedding party. I was supposed to be the best man in his wedding. He wanted to proceed with it and to get married.
As Christmas approaches, Ricardo takes his family out for one of the favorite activities he enjoys sharing with his son. Cheering on the Winnipeg Jets.
He loved his hockey. It was their thing. Like every Jets game they'd be watching, screaming. He just wanted him to be, his main thing was hockey. That's what he wanted him to do.
It was him and his son at the Jets game. He had season tickets, so he would always go to all the games and bring his son. He was so present in his son's life. They did everything together. You could just see he's just so happy and laughing.
They don't know that this happy night will be their final moments together as a family. On December 17th, Ricardo agrees to give his former business partner a hand with one of his construction jobs. At lunchtime, he tells Richard he's got to go run an errand.
I remember it vividly. Every time we leave for the night, we're not going to see each other till the next day. He would always do like this side fist bump to me. And so the day of, he was saying he has to go home, and then he's going to get something to eat, and he'll meet me back at the house. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And then he did one of those fist bumps. And I remember it was like my brain took a picture of it because I looked over and I seen his hand, and I remember like almost taking a picture of my hand touching his hand. I looked at his hand and I pulled my hand back, and I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna see you in 20 minutes. I just had this intuition that that was the last time I was gonna speak to him.
At 2:30 p.m., a call comes into the Winnipeg police reporting a disturbance at Ricardo Hebe's group home.
Ricardo Hebe was on the phone with a lawyer at the time. So the lawyer hears a commotion, knows that there's something wrong.
The lawyer calls 911, and patrol units are immediately dispatched to Ricardo's group home.
They find Ricardo Hebe on the ground, covered in blood.
Detectives try to decipher a clue that could crack the case.
Somebody is lying. Somebody knows something about that blood stain on the door.
While they grapple with the question of who would want Ricardo Hebe dead.
We have the citizens coming together in uproar, thinking, what is going on in our city?
What did he do wrong? Nothing. He opened the door. He's trying to defend his home and defend the children in his care.
I didn't see real. I lost it because it was like a nightmare.
Winnipeg police responding to the group home run by Ricardo Hebe find him critically injured after being attacked and clinging to life.
You're looking at a chaotic scene. He's stabbed 3 times in the chest. He's left for dead. He's bleeding out. They're going to do whatever they can to save his life. The paramedics take him to the hospital as quickly as possible.
As Ricardo fights for his life, the search for clues about what happened to him immediately gets underway.
the forensic unit attend the crime scene and collect all the blood samples. They're going to collect DNA samples from different surfaces. Maybe the offender got caught in a struggle and has blood on the floor.
Detectives also launch an urgent search for witnesses. They discover that 2 of the 3 teenage residents of the group home were in the house when Ricardo was attacked.
These kids, he said, they were in their rooms at the time when this happened. The investigators have to consider everything and everyone. This attack could have been connected to any one of the 3 boys that live there.
As the investigators interview the teens at the crime scene, they have their colleagues back at the police station check into the residents' backgrounds.
Investigators ask the gang unit and in the drug unit if there's any open investigations involving the group home or the people who live in the group home. But they find the opposite, that Ricardo Hebe is running a really clean ship and he's doing everything he can to be a positive influence in these kids' life. They actually have a lot of respect for him and they speak very highly of him.
The teens also tell the police there's one more resident of the group home who's known to everyone as CH, but they haven't seen him all day.
CH was not there at the time. It's imperative that the investigators find CH and interview him as well.
Detectives get the addresses of CH's school and work and begin trying to track him down. As they do, word comes that this has just become a homicide case.
Ricardo Hebe was pronounced dead at the hospital.
Ricardo's fiancée Candace is home when she gets the call that turns her world upside down.
Hearing the words that he's dead, it didn't seem real. I lost it because it was like a nightmare. I couldn't speak, I couldn't think, I couldn't breathe half the time. I would lay there like begging him to come back. He was my everything. Losing him literally destroyed my life.
I'll never forget that phone call because all I could hear was Ricardo's dead. And instantly I dropped the phone. I couldn't breathe. I fell down. I was crying. Thank God my husband was carrying our child because I was completely distraught. It was just heart-wrenching.
As Ricardo's stunned loved ones try to cope with the terrible news, Winnipeg detectives continue looking for reasons and potential suspects.
Why did the suspect do this? Is there an old score to settle? Is this maybe something from Ricardo's way past and somebody has asked this guy to go there and kill him? Who knows? But you can't rule out any of these options.
He didn't have any enemies. He didn't have anybody that had a personal vendetta against him. He never screwed somebody over.
Investigators examining the crime scene make a major discovery that they hope will shed light on what happened.
There's a camera showing the exterior of the residence, so it would show anyone coming up to the door.
Police are able to quickly review the surveillance video, and when they do, they learn the camera was an eyewitness to the murder. They are able to play back Ricardo Hebe's final moments.
The surveillance footage shows a man in a black coat walking up to the group home. There is a brief interaction. You can't hear what's said, but the man in the black coat pulls out a knife, stabs Ricardo 3 times.
The crime was shocking.
Here's a guy who is running a group home for vulnerable children. What did he do wrong? Nothing. He opened the door. He's trying to defend his home and defend the children in his care. And then he gets stabbed. The final moments of Ricardo Hebe's life must have been horrifically terrifying.
Despite showing the murder, the footage yields no clues to the identity of Ricardo's killer.
Unfortunately, the images are grainy, they're fuzzy, and they're just not good.
The exterior camera showed the suspect wearing a black jacket with a fur-trimmed hood. The hood was up.
The footage shows that Ricardo's attacker approached from the street and never entered the house.
The two kids who were in the house, they're ruled out at this point.
For detectives, it's now more urgent to find the one resident who was not home at the time of the murder, CH.
It's imperative that the investigators find CH and interview him. Maybe he knows something that the other kids didn't know. And also to be able to account for his location at the time the offense happened.
It's not clear where CH was at the time of Ricardo Hebe's death.
Police are just trying to piece together if he's connected to all of this.
The day after Ricardo Hebe is stabbed to death, detectives are urgently searching for the one resident of Ricardo's group home who cannot be accounted for, a teen known to his friends as CH.
At this point, the investigators still haven't tracked down CH. The first obvious place to check would be the school and his place of work. It turns out that he didn't attend either of them on that day, which is a little weird because he was expected to be in school and he was scheduled to be at work, but he didn't show up for either. And there's no account of where he is or where he could be. So they cannot rule him out or rule him in any way at this point.
News of Ricardo's murder spreads through Winnipeg, stirring both grief and anger.
This was quite a high-profile murder in Winnipeg. It affected a lot of people. And the question I kept coming back to was, for what? Why did this happen? There's really no clear answer. I thought it was just so brutal because of the fact that Ricardo was quite a pillar in the north end of Winnipeg. It was just such a sad story. I mean, this man dedicated his life to trying to help young men who were in a similar position to him, so it seemed just so tragic that he would die while doing something good for the community. It just felt very cold and brutal.
We have the citizens coming together in uproar, thinking, what is going on in our city? We have this murderer out on the streets. We're all going out in support because we don't want this to die in the media. We want it to be up close and personal with every resident of this city because this is all of our issue. You know, it was my best friend who lost his life, but it could be my neighbors tomorrow. Everybody was scared. And so I think pushing it in the media was the only way that we were going to get any traction with finding this guy.
Two days after Ricardo Hebe's murder, as detectives continue to search for CH, police get an unexpected visitor.
On December 19, CH arrived at police headquarters and tells the officer at the desk that he understands that homicide investigators want to speak to him. He tells police that he doesn't know who would have had reason to attack Ricardo. He doesn't believe it had anything to do with him. He certainly denies being part of the attack or having any knowledge whatsoever of it. The investigators want to know, where was he at the time of the attack? CH tells the investigators that he was at his girlfriend's house. His alibi is that he spent the whole afternoon with her, and that's why he didn't go to school, and that's why he didn't go to work. He said that he was dealing with some relationship issues, and that's why he hadn't come forward. And he claims that he didn't know anything about the homicide until he had recently heard about it, that police wanted to speak with him. CH says that he was with his girlfriend, Trinity Moore. Police now have to confirm that alibi.
CH gives detectives Trinity's address. They head straight to her house to check his story.
When police arrive at Trinity's address, they see that there's a blood stain on her front door. Trinity denies any knowledge of it, and she says that's the first time that she's seen that blood.
Trinity consents to police taking samples from the blood that's found on her front door.
The blood samples are sent to the police lab for testing as detectives continue their interview with Trinity. They ask if she can confirm CH's alibi, that he was with her on December 17th, the day of the murder.
Trinity told the investigators that CH does come over a lot, and he stays over there, and he spends lots of time with her at her home. However, she says that on the day of the homicide, he was not there.
In fact, Trinity tells the detectives she hasn't seen CH in days.
He's saying that he was there all day. She said, no, he wasn't. So someone's lying. Somebody knows something about that blood stain on the door.
Detectives investigating the stabbing death of Ricardo Hebe believe a teenage resident of Ricardo's group home has lied to them about where he was at the time of the murder.
CH says that he was with his girlfriend, Trinity Moore, but she said that she didn't see CH that day.
With his alibi in doubt, investigators now wait to see if DNA tests on the blood found on Trinity's door can connect CH to the murder. But they also have some follow-up questions for him. This time, CH is easier to locate. They find him standing outside the group home where he lives.
CH tells them that Trinity is mistaken, and he said that sometimes she takes medication and she forgets things, but he's actually angry that she says that he wasn't there, because he is adamant that he was there. His alibi is very shaky, but there is no physical evidence to tie him to the scene. At this point, there is certainly not enough evidence to charge CH with anything.
4 days after Ricardo's murder, just 4 days before Christmas, the DNA test results from the blood stains on Trinity's door come in.
Those bloodstains came back as a match to Ricardo Hebe's DNA.
It is not contaminated with anybody else's DNA. It is Ricardo Hebe's DNA, and it is definitely something that happened after his attack. This is a huge break in the case because now there is a direct link from the crime scene to Trinity's front door. So somebody who killed Ricardo went through that front door and deposited Ricardo's blood on the door.
The test results convince detectives that Trinity knows more than she's told them about how Ricardo's blood got on her door. They rush back to her home to confront her. And that's when her story about the day of the murder changes.
She says that CH was there, that he was actually hiding in the back room. Trinity told the investigators that they have a rocky relationship at this time and they had a fight. She says her brother, Kane, became aware of the altercation that she had had with CH and was furious. She didn't tell her brother that CH was in the back room, and her brother, Kane, left and he went looking for CH. She actually provided her brother with the address of the group home. And when he came back, he had blood on him, and as he left the blood on the door handle at the front of the house.
She says that he shows up, she sees his hands are bloody, and she sees him in possession of a knife, and she observes there's blood on it.
Was he looking to find CH and thought he killed CH? Or was he just lashing out at somebody? There's a couple of different possibilities here. The investigators show Trinity the images from the security camera from the front of the house where the attack is captured. She actually tells the investigators that her brother Kane has a jacket like that.
Trinity told investigators that she hadn't seen her brother since the day of Ricardo's murder.
She lied to police because she didn't want to get her brother in trouble. She was trying to protect her boyfriend as well.
With Trinity's statement, CH is cleared of any suspicion.
Now the investigation has taken a completely different turn. It looks now like Kane Moore is the #1 suspect. Once he was identified as a suspect, the investigators are going to look at his record.
Kane had a history of violence. He had a history of unprovoked attacks. Kane went to Stony Mountain, which is just outside Winnipeg. It's a federal prison. It's for serious and violent offenders.
While he's in the penitentiary, he's involved in another serious incident. He's a suspect in another stabbing inside in the penitentiary.
Kane was facing charges related to the death of another inmate.
Despite the pending charges, investigators learned that in October 2018, 2 months before Ricardo was stabbed to death, Kane Moore was granted parole and released from prison.
He's a very dangerous person, but he was not designated a dangerous offender by the courts.
He wasn't even supposed to be out on the street. In his parole documents, it stated that he is high risk to reoffend, and somehow he was let out.
When I found out, I was furious. How do you allow someone out who killed someone inside? If you can't protect people in there, how are you supposed to protect them out?
He's very volatile and he's got a very dangerous background, so it's urgent to find him as soon as possible.
Winnipeg detectives are on the hunt for 21-year-old Kane Moore, the prime suspect in the murder of Ricardo Hebe.
At this point of the investigation, the investigators have to find Kane Moore. It is imperative that they find Kane Moore.
Kane's sister, Trinity, tells the detectives that she has not seen or heard from him since December 17th, the day of the murder. Investigators begin tracking down other family members, hoping for a lead to his whereabouts.
His family are somewhat cooperative. They say that they haven't seen him in quite some time, but it can only be taken at face value because they could quite easily shelter him. The investigators went to all the known hangouts and the areas where Kane Moore has frequented and is known to frequent. They're not getting the best cooperation in these neighborhoods. Nobody wants to be seen speaking to the investigators. Nobody certainly wants to cooperate with them. And they draw a blank. they're not getting anywhere. Kane Moore's parole has been revoked at this point, so the investigators get a Canada-wide warrant for Kane Moore. They'd circulate a bulletin with his picture and his description to every officer.
After 2 weeks of an intensive search that began just before Christmas, police still have no sightings of Kane.
Nobody knows where he is. It looks like he's gone to ground and nobody can find him. He's on the run.
It was a brutal holiday season for Ricardo's friends and family. They're dealing with this awful tragedy, but they also have no answers. There are very few details at this point about where the main suspect in this murder is.
It took a huge toll on me, physically, mentally. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping from the stress of it.
That just completely shattered everybody. It's unexplainable. My brain was numb. I was trying to, soak in the shock.
Another week goes by with no progress in the manhunt. Then, on January 6th, 2019,
cadets that work with the Winnipeg Police Service came across an individual that was just walking on the street, and they were concerned that he was intoxicated.
They approached the individual, who provided them with a false name. However, when they detained him for being intoxicated and they searched his pocket, they found identification in the name of Kane Moore with a photograph that matched him.
Once cadets clue in and realize that they have the main suspect in Ricardo Hebe's murder, they call detectives immediately.
The cadets take Kane into custody and bring him to the station.
Kane Moore was arrested wearing a black winter jacket. The man who appeared in the surveillance video taken of Ricardo Hebe's death was also wearing a black jacket.
But when detectives show Kane the images from Ricardo Hebe's security camera, he insists it's not him.
He doesn't give anything up.
Kane Moore clams up, he denies any involvement in the murder, and he asks for a lawyer.
Kane Moore never admits to attacking Ricardo Hebe, and he never admits to killing him.
But when investigators examine the jacket Kane was wearing when he was arrested, they make a critical discovery.
Police found blood stains inside that jacket. Investigators test the blood that's found in this black jacket, and the DNA matches Ricardo Hebe's DNA. Kane Moore is arrested for the murder of Ricardo Hebe.
There's a lot of inexplicable killings that occur, but in this case, even though there was no clear motive, there is enough evidence to suggest that Mr. Moore was upset with CH.
Kane Moore wanted to get into the house to find CH, and Ricardo blocked him. He was protecting the kids in his house and doing what he was supposed to do, and Kane Moore wanted to get in there and lashed out the way he always does, violently.
Kane Moore is charged with 1 count of second-degree murder. Ricardo Hebe's loved ones are shocked to find out he was killed by a stranger.
Kane Moore, he's never been around us. We never had him at the house. We had no idea who he was.
The news kind of came out that it was just some random guy. I was angry. We'll ever sit down and have a conversation if this guy asked me for forgiveness. I don't think I could do that.
Kane Moore's trial begins in September 2020. Prosecutors are confident they have the evidence to convict him of murder. They call their star witness, Trinity Moore, the accused killer's sister, to the stand and ask her about what she saw the day Ricardo was murdered.
Trinity Moore gave a sworn statement to police that her brother Kane Moore showed up, that she saw he had bloody hands.
Trinity Moore recants her statement when she's called as a witness. She tells a completely different story. When Trinity Moore changed her story, now there's the possibility of an acquittal.
Kane Moore is on trial for the murder of Ricardo Hebe. Prosecutors expect his sister, Trinity, to testify that he came to her home after the murder, covered with blood, and confessed. But her testimony stuns them.
When she gets up on the stand, she completely contradicts what she had told investigators.
She says that her brother was not involved and never came over.
She said that when she spoke to police, she didn't know what she was saying because she was high and drunk at the time.
When Trinity made the 180 turn on her story, it throws a wrench in the prosecution's case.
But even without Trinity's testimony, prosecutors can make their case to the jury solely based on the physical evidence.
That black coat that Kane Moore was arrested wearing wound up being a central piece of evidence.
There was video surveillance and forensic DNA evidence. We played the surveillance videos that show the individual approaching the residence, and we showed the actual stabbing. We also showed Kane Moore leaving the house.
The video surveillance and the forensic DNA evidence links him to that house.
Candace was there every single day. She seemed extremely strong given the circumstances, but when that surveillance video was played in court, she left sobbing, but she was there start to finish. I don't really know how she did it because a lot of the details were just so gruesome.
The jury deliberates for 6 hours. And on September 24th, 2020, reaches its verdict.
He was convicted of second-degree murder.
He's got a life sentence with no chance of parole for 15 years.
For Ricardo's family and friends, the sentence only adds to their pain.
He did not deserve anything less but life in prison with no eligibility for parole. And that's something that is still hurting us because he's still going to be eligible to come out eventually.
It's a really sad irony because Kane Moore is the exact type of young man Ricardo Hebe would have wanted to help. So you can't help but wonder if things could have gone differently. That didn't need to end up like that.
I accepted that there's nothing I could have changed. There's nothing that anybody could have done.
It wasn't supposed to be for him. This shouldn't even happen. He was taken from me. Not having him around, I am very, very lost still.
Despite the pain they live with every day, Ricardo's loved ones try to stay strong and keep Ricardo's memory alive, especially for his son, Junior.
Everybody dealt with it in their own way. I still have a good relationship with his son. I'm godfather to his son. I've made him a promise when he was alive, and I'm just fulfilling that promise to look after his son.
I want people to know that his heart was there. He wanted the best for these kids. It's just, everyone knows his legacy was left. And his smile, and just how genuine he is. And that's why I want to keep going. Our son has love for hockey. So he's an all-star now. Ready, he wants to play the Jets, he says. I said, do it. Your dad would be proud. He would watch you. He's a little hockey star now. But now I'm a hockey mom, so I got this. Did it for him and his dad.
कश्मीर में अखियां दी ठंड माया कर प्यार उड़ फेर न कंड माया कर प्यार उड़ फेर न कंड माया कश्मीर में जन्नत नजारा है माया अखियां दा चन तारा है माया अखियां दा चन तारा कश्मीर दे दरिया बहंदे ने सुन सजना एक ही कहंदे ने सुन सजना एक ही कहंदे ने कश्मीरा कश्मीर दिले फुल खेलिए मेरा माया हुस्न दा दलेलिए मेरा माया हुस्न दा दलेलिए कश्मीर वे मेहंदी दा रंग माया सैर करा दे संग माया सैर करा दे संग माया कश्मीर दे वेख नजारे नू कर याद वे रोवा प्यारे नू कर याद वे रोवा प्यारे नू कश्मीरा ओ कश्मीर रे भागत लार चना रफी दिल को करिए प्यार चना रफी दिल को करिए
आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा हो कश्मीर वे अखियां दी ठंड माया कर प्यार उड़ फेर ना कंड माया कर प्यार उड़ फेर ना कंड माया कश्मीरा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा हो कश्मीर वे जन्नत नजारा ए माया अखियां दा चन तारा ए माया अखियां दा चन तारा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा हो कश्मीर दे दरिया बेंदे ने सुन सजना एक ही कहंदे ने सुन सजना एक ही कहंदे ने आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा हो कश्मीर दीवे फुल खेलिए मेरा माया हुसन दा बेलिए मेरा माया हुसन दा बेलिए आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा हो कश्मीर वे मेहंदी दा रंग माया सैर करा दो संग माया सैर करा दो संग माया आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा आजुल्ला माया कश्मीरा हो कश्मीर देवे